What's up, guys? This is Bradley, along here with Zach and Dawson on this splendid Sunday afternoon. Ravens get the big win over the Broncos, 41-10. This was a game, Ravens were favored by 10. Some were skeptical of it. Uh, Turns out Vegas is more correct than the average person usually, and Ravens come away with this one with a 31-point victory. Really, in full domination in this one, especially in the second half. But even in the first half, still was up 24-10. Going into the break there, Lamar with another perfect passer rating game, 16 for 19, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, another 100 rushing yard game. He had 1,000 rushing yards on the year, 23 carries, 106, 2 touchdowns. Zay Flowers over 100 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. Zach, what are your initial thoughts coming out of this one?
My immediate response was how proud I am of the defense for finishing out a game. Like, second half shutout, oh, perfection. Like, I'm just so thrilled with it. I expected the offense to play well, but I didn't think they'd play this well. But gosh, the defense they did what they had to do. We were texting about, pass rush not being too great, but other than that, I mean, I feel like the defense played almost a perfect game. I was so happy with them and beating on a team that had some moments, had their big plays, a few explosive plays and drives, still kept them to 10 points. I'm just so thrilled with them.
I will say, Brad, the title of this podcast is Ravens Defeat Browns, so that is a typo on your part. But I just had to point that out real quick that everyone listening to this right now is probably very confused as to why it says Ravens defeat Browns. It is Ravens defeat Broncos, 41-10. Ravens get back on track today in a big way at home, man. They had a really tough opponent coming to the bank today, and I don't think it's a team that many were overlooking, to be honest with you, with how recently well they were playing football. And it was a very good offense and a very good defense going up against us today, and the Ravens handled business. Went out there, smacked them around, and got a big 41-10 victory to get back in the win column. They are now 6-3 and set their sights on a big time Thursday night football match against the Bengals. Offense today, absolutely on fire per usual. Defense, huge bounce back game. Shut out in the second half. Gave up quite a bit of yardage, as they seem to do every single game. But overall, didn't let the Broncos score, didn't let, anything really happen or take over the game or really make this game close at all. It was an absolute dominant win, much like the previous 5 weeks leading up to Cleveland. So super happy at the end result of this game, and I'm happy we're 6-3, and looks like we got out of the game pretty healthy, and we were kind of able to sit some guys in the fourth quarter. So I'm super hyped. I said on Thursday Night Football.
Appreciate you for letting me know about that title, Dawson. There was so many things going into this. Even in our preview document that we did, it was Browns everywhere. I think it's just confusing with the BR. 2 games in a row, similar colors, all that stuff. But no one else noticed.
We'll forgive you, Brad. It's okay.
Got some comments here. What's up, Charles? What's up, Dawson? Quarterbacks to be quarterbacky. Orlando, what's up? 2 Federal. How are we doing today, guys? Thanks for being here. Yeah, man, this one was just an unstressful game, sort of a rare thing, at least recently for the Ravens. You go back to that Bills blowout. But this one really felt like there was never a moment in the game, I mean, in the second half at least, where there was any fear, in my opinion. First half thoughts, like you said, the pass rush is just not there at all, and definitely need to make a move in that department over these next 48 hours. Clowney had a good game today with the Panthers, I saw, so that could be an interesting possibility. Max Crosby probably not going to be available, but there's a lot of guys out there, so I don't know. Just it felt like Bo Nix had so much time in the pocket today. Like, out of any game I've ever watched in my life, I don't remember seeing a quarterback have this much time consistently. Maybe Lamar in 2019 with that elite O-line we have could possibly rival it. But, man, it's just there are multiple times the Ravens blitz 5, 6 guys, and he's still just sitting back there and making a throw. Thought Marcus Williams played well. Thought Ardarius Washington played well. Interesting that Eddie Jackson was a healthy scratch today. But, man, first play of the game, did you guys notice Marcus Williams making a play right at the line of scrimmage, charging down there? So that was really, really good to see.
The defense today, man, was night and day compared to the previous 6 games. I mean, like I said, they still gave up quite a bit of yards, if you look at the box score, but, I mean, overall, obviously, we've all watched the entire game, and it was night and day. They were making big time stops, man. They were still getting, pretty gassed on 3rd downs, which seems to be a trend that has never broke this season, but overall, they made stops when they needed them the most. They got off the field, positioned the offense well, as far as where they're gonna start getting the ball at. And just overall, man, a lot of big time plays today by the defense, and it was great. I mean, like you said, first play of the game, Marcus Williams shot up and got him down behind the line of scrimmage, and then our Darius Washington, I believe, got the pick on the very next play or whatever. So yeah, big time showing by the defense today, man, and it was glad to see this defense kind of have some life. And you can sit here and say, "Oh, it's the Broncos" and stuff all you want, but they are one of the hottest offenses in the league in the last 3-4 weeks, I would say, with how they've been playing, especially their quarterback in Bo Nix. So Ravens had a big time win today, man. This isn't a pushover game. This isn't a game that, they were obviously favored by quite a bit, but it's not like, the Ravens went out there and handled business today in a big way. So they kind of went out there and made a statement after dropping an ugly one last week. And Lamar, man, he's getting his 3rd MVP. It's absolutely incredible. Zay Flowers is an incredible wide receiver right now. He's a wide receiver 1 by a wide margin. He's got 400+ yard games in his last 5 matchups, and the dude is just unreal, man. It's great. And Todd Monken, man, is utilizing his personnel, I think, in every way possible, and it's great to see. And obviously, Derrick Henry, man, just everything's on the offensive side of the ball right now continues to click, and it's a beautiful sight. It's truly amazing, and it's historic what we're watching.
Yeah, the first half really, I mean, I'm always nervous at the beginning of games, right? I mean, even the pick not leading to any points was concerning, but that early pick. And then really all the stress just evaporated out of the air whenever Zay took that 20-yard pass, 50 yards, got that touchdown. That was just hype. That was awesome. And right at that moment, it kind of felt like how good is our offense for beating up on what is a top 5 statistical defense and just on paper with all their guys playing the way they are. And it kind of felt like where our skill position guys, I think we mentioned it in the preview, our skill position guys really outplaying them because their guys, no disrespect at all to them, they're playing great football, but their defense is all names that aren't really big in the NFL. Surtain's a different conversation, but the rest of them, their D line got kind of babied today. Derrick Henry trucking dudes, freaking running over him. And I thought what was really interesting, a stat to look at, Lamar only had 3 carries today for 4 yards. Talking about the option game just not being there, even the few of those plays, I think he missed one to Bateman, or Bateman dropped it or something, where there is a open rushing lane for Lamar Jackson, and he doesn't take it. He tries to get Bateman the ball. And I don't know. It was just a different look of an offense and killing them in some ways that we can do, but in ways that was we almost stopped doing it in another way with Lamar's legs. So I think that's interesting going into Thursday as well, because I think for the Bengals, it's kind of everyone gets an opportunity, and especially Lamar and his legs gets an opportunity. And this time, scoring 41 points and it not being with the help of Lamar's legs is extremely impressive.
That's
Yeah,
the crazy thing I will say is we're seeing right before our eyes Lamar Jackson develop into a legitimate top 5 passer in the NFL. I mean, this guy is on an absolute tear this season, and he's in his 7th season, and we're seeing by far the best football we've ever seen from him. He is just absolutely incredible, dude, and he is well on his way to his 3rd MVP. Granted, everything stays on trajectory as it is right now, and just this Ravens offense as a whole is just one giant juggernaut, dude, and every player respectively is having their best season, as far as the main or skill players on this offense goes. And it's crazy to think that this wide receiver room right now is doing such good things. I mean, Nelly had a huge play today over the middle and could honestly be a touchdown if Lamar led him a little bit, possibly. But either way, great play. And Lamar is just putting the ball where it needs to be. His touch on these passes are incredible, dude. It's just amazing, dude. He's so good right now. It's crazy. We are witnessing one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time when he's all said and done if he keeps doing this and getting better every year. And it's just amazing, dude. We deserve this. This Ravens offense deserves it. And as long as Eric DeCosta, which I very well think he will, in the next 48 hours or so, makes a move to address the, I would say, pass rushing unit, but it's not even really a pass rushing unit because there's no pass rush to be had. I think if they make a move to address this very, very important need over the next 48 hours, this team is well on its way into the postseason. Because right now, realistically, other than last week, of course, which you could say is a hiccup, but they still put up 24 points. This offense is not being stopped. And this defense, I mean, obviously, we know it's a very big weakness, but they make a move to address this pass rushing weakness, man, and this Ravens team will be very complete, and I don't see what can stop them. I mean, it's truly incredible. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, adding on to Zach's point about Lamar, definitely not 100% today. I feel like we saw that with the Raiders game when there was also some stuff going on with practice before that one. He barely ran in that one. Ravens lost maybe because of it a little bit. Today did not matter as much. And you mentioned the pass to Bateman, which could have been like a 15, 20-yard play if he made the catch and kept running. And then also I remember a 10-yard run on a third down. It was actually right after the Bateman play. Sort of a light jog down the sideline. You could tell it. I don't think he's 100% out there. There's a couple times he could have ran and didn't, and most of the time completed a pass on those plays as well. So that was definitely good to see. And we want to see this. Tony Romo was talking about a little bit during the game Lamar, how he can take some hits, and a lot of times it's after the play. It's not even his fault. It's like he gets down and like people dive into him and stuff like that, and you want that to be diminished as possible. So when you have a 41-10 win, those are the days you would love to see a Lamar 3-carry game. And just like the efficiency that he's been playing with recently. I mean, what was he at halftime? 11 for 12, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's completely from memory, but I think that's what it was. It's just insane. And like Dawson mentioned his throw to Aguilar, just like loops it over a couple defenders. Like his touch is insane. The throw to Justice Hill on the wheel is an insane throw. Him and Zay Flowers' chemistry on that. The first touchdown to Zay, just Zay running around, getting it over to him. The other touchdown to Zay, just threading the needle over defenders over and over. I would say he's definitely, I'd say he's a top 5 passer in the league now. If you take the legs off of it, all 32 quarterbacks, I think Lamar's still a top 5 player in this league right now, just the way he's playing. And going back to his rookie year, you would not expect that to be the case today. And just the improvement, even like compared to last year, he's a better player than he was last year. He's going to be a better player next year than he is right now. And I don't know how he keeps doing it, but I can't think of another quarterback in the league that is that much better every single year of their career.
He's well on his way to I don't want to get carried away because we sound crazy right now, but like truly like Lamar Jackson right now is it's crazy. It's crazy what he's doing because last year he won the MVP. He literally is a 2-time MVP and he's done everything that you can think of other than of course appear in a Super Bowl and win it, which eventually he will do. But it's crazy to sit here and say that he's playing the best football by a pretty wide margin. Like last year compared to right now how he's playing, it's a pretty significant gap because the passing alone has become so incredible and the playmakers around him are actually playing really good and it's like gelling all at once. And to think that today, in the past few weeks, of course, too, what we've done on the offense, specifically in the wideout room and through the air, because he's now 4 or 5 games in a row of over 275 passing yards, which is a franchise record, by the way. Now you're going to throw in a guy like Deontay Johnson when he's comfortable and learns the playbook, and it just adds more fuel to the fire. I mean, you have Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman are now, and Nelson Aguilar when he's called upon, making really good plays. And obviously, Zay is a clear and away wide receiver 1. We know this. And Bateman right now is a pretty legit wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 option, I would say, other than, a couple plays in the last few games where could have went the other way. Either way, he's been playing really good. And now you're going to throw in a guy who could legitimately be a wide receiver 1 on a handful of teams in the NFL, you're going to throw in him. And dude, it's just this offense is even stronger. And, this comment by Dawson Hamilton, thoughts on Deontay not getting a target today? Would have thought we may have tried to get him a touch early. I do agree it was pretty crazy. I thought he would at least get a couple looks. However, he literally just got here. He only had one like half practice with Lamar Jackson, so the chemistry and the relationship obviously is not there yet. I do think that it would have benefited to get him at least a couple looks. However, I'm not upset at it in any way. There was no reason to with the way the game was going, and you give him another week or two to learn this playbook and really get this down. And I think down the stretch, he's going to be a huge playmaker. And then it's how do you even cover this Ravens offense as a defense at that point when you have Zay, Bate, and Deontay out wide with Derrick Henry and Lamar in the backfield with Mark Andrew? It's just like, it's unreal, dude. It's quite literally probably the best offense we may ever see as Ravens fans, and that might sound crazy, but the way it's playing right now and the way it's going, and if it doesn't get stopped, this could be the greatest offense in Ravens history, and it's incredible to see.
Speaking of great offenses, I loved listening to Tony Romo today. I know Mr. Dawson is not a fan. I know some of you probably watching and listening are also not fans, or maybe you are like me. He was tooting the horn of the 2014 Cowboys, DeMarco Murray, Jason Witten, Des Bryant, and Tony Romo himself. Like it almost kind of matches up. Des isn't obviously Zay Flowers, and neither or like Mark Andrews compared to Jason Witten. DeMarco Murray isn't Derrick Henry, but these skill position guys where the offensive line is playing great and these other guys on the team are able to contribute in incredibly efficient ways every time they're on the field. And he said it's like everything just became so easy. Everyone's so good at what they do. And all he has to do, all Romo has to do is get these guys the ball, play smart, take care of the ball. It's a generational offense we're watching right now. It's incredible.
Yeah, like you compare it to even the offense of last year, which was unstoppable by the end of the season, and it's just better than that. There's a point today where they scored on 6 possessions in a row. It's just insane what they're doing. I don't know if Todd Monken is going to be here or not next year, so love to try to get a Super Bowl out of this one.
I just realistically cannot see a team wanting to hire a guy who's nearly 60 years old, and I realistically don't think that Todd Monken would want to be a head coach in this career with what you're doing with Lamar Jackson right now. Why not ride out the rest of your days as a coach doing what you're doing now? I mean, and given he has a pretty questionable recent track record, I want to say recent because it was a while ago, but recent track record of being a head coach. So I think obviously the talks will be there, and obviously teams will be interested, but I just can't ultimately see a team without a head coach wanting to hire a guy who's nearly 60 and has never had success as a head coach. So hopefully I'm right in that instance because holy crap, man, he's been incredible for this Ravens offense. It's instilled a absolute just smoke show in this team, man. And they're just he's utilizing the personnel. I mean, every player is involved every game. I mean, Justice Hill is getting a ton of carries. He's finding success. Derrick Henry, of course, Zay Flowers, of course. Rashad Bateman this season's been doing good. Nelly's been getting opportunities. I mean, these guys across the board are getting opportunities and they're running away with it. And it's great because it's exactly what this offense lacked, the last few years before Monken got here. So it's nice to see finally the whole team spread out and everyone kind of getting an equal look on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, we came into this game with the preview talking about how the Broncos led the league in yards per play given up. It was around 4.5 yards per play that they were giving up on the year, and the Ravens had over 7 yards per play today. I think I heard on the broadcast that the Broncos had given up 31 points over the last 4 games, something insane like that, and the Ravens put up 41 today. I mean, you're going up against the best defense in the league, and you're able to have a performance like this. Just very impressive. And like we've mentioned, all credit to Todd Monken, to Lamar. T. Martin, I think, deserves a lot of credit coming in as the new quarterback coach last year. He's been helping out a lot. And this receiver core, we talked about, does it rival the 2012 receiving core of Bolden, Torrey Smith, and Jacoby Jones? We'll have to wait and see what Deontay Johnson brings to the table. But if he ends up being a playmaker, I think it could definitely be close, if not better than that unit. So that'll be something fun to talk about as the season goes on. Quote from John Harbaugh, Derrick Henry adds a dimension that they haven't had before, and he said that they haven't had a runner like him since Jamal Lewis. So that's high praise for someone who is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, hopefully a 2,000-yard rusher this season. And just like the power of this offense, Romo was mentioning it during the game, an offensive player of the year or like a running back rushing for 2,000 yards and an MVP quarterback, he was like, how do you stop that? And my answer is, I don't know. We've mentioned it. The Ravens' only way they lose is to beat themselves. And we saw that last week, losing to the Browns 29-24, and they got demolished by the Chargers today. So the Ravens can beat anyone, and they also can lose to anyone. So that's the unfortunate part about this team, but we know that they have the capability to be the best team in the league.
It's crazy because in our preview pod for this game, we mentioned, what do the Ravens have to do to obviously solidify themselves and give them a good chance to win this game? And they did exactly that today. They played mistake-free football and they played clean football. I believe we were only penalized a handful amount of times, if that. I mean, how many penalties did we have? Seriously, we only had a few, and it was great. We didn't. Are you going to fact check this, Brad? Yeah, we had very minimal penalties. We were given a lot of good opportunities, and we presented and we capitalized on them. Other than, of course, the first interception, we didn't get anything with that, but we did take advantage of the opportunities, field position that was given to us at certain times. Some really good punts by Jordan Stout too to pin back Denver, which I think should not go over people's heads. And I think the Ravens just played really. I think honestly, it was their most complete game of the season. I mean, this is definitely the best overall game the Ravens played all season. The offense was lights out. The defense was lights out for the most part, and they just played good, clean football. And sounds crazy to say, the coaching in this game was pretty good. So it was nice to see the Ravens finally put all three phases, and even more than that, honestly. Everything that goes into a football team and going into a game plan. It was nice to see them execute everything on a really good level today. And obviously, you see what happens when you do that. You win 41-10 at home because everything that went to this game plan today worked, and the Ravens played absolutely gorgeous, complete game, and they handled business, and they kind of left no doubts moving forward as to who this team can be. And I think Brad just kind of touched on it. This team can beat anyone in the league, and we've seen that this season. Unfortunately, 2 of their 3 losses come against teams that they were favored heavily over and they should have beat. So realistically, this team should be 8-1 right now, if you want to say, even 9-0, who knows, but it's the NFL, it's any given week. No team is promised anything the following week. So 6-3, I'll take it. We got a short turnaround, and I'm super pumped for that game because I will be flying out to Baltimore Thursday morning to go to this game. So I'm super excited flying in from Michigan. We're debuting all purple helmets. Maybe Keaton Mitchell will be activated eventually, and he'll be out there. But I think they got through this game pretty healthy. I don't think the injury report this week will be crazy. I do obviously the players are going to be on there that we don't want to see, but I think overall we're going into Thursday night's game pretty healthy. I know our guys, Broderick, Travis Jones, and all them guys up front didn't really get injured or anything today, to our knowledge. So it looks like we're going into a huge game against Cincinnati, relatively healthy. So that's really all you can ask for.
Quick stat on Derrick Henry. So 161 attempts first, 1,021 rushing yards first, 6.3 yards a carry first, 11 rushing touchdowns first. First player to lead the NFL in all 4 of those categories since what decade do you guys think?
90s.
60s. Jim Brown. So shout out Ramey, our guy on Twitter, said washed king, retweeting that. So I thought that was funny.
That is incredible, dude. Oh my God, dude. Are we going to have the MVP and Offensive Player of the Year? And I know these awards don't matter because we want, the ultimate prize, but it is fun to talk about and speculate, of course. And if Lamar wins a 3rd MVP, if it isn't already set in stone, he's 100% a Hall of Famer, whether he wins a Super Bowl or not. I feel like if he wins 3 MVPs, but like I said, it doesn't matter because we want the Super Bowl, but it is fun to think about. Are we going to have a 3-time MVP this season and have Offensive Player of the Year? That would be incredible. That would be absolutely amazing, and that'd be the greatest offense we've ever had. If the dude runs for 2,000 yards, Lamar throws for 4,000, we have 1, possibly 2, 1,000-yard wide receivers. Who knows? That'd be awesome.
Comment here from Sir Screams a lot. Would you guys like to see the Ravens trade for D lineman? There's a lot of talk this week, especially, a lot of us were worried about the interior D line not practicing. You had Broderick Washington not practicing. Matabike was really the only healthy guy, but it turns out they were just resting. Zach, I'll kick it to you for this one. Going into this trade deadline, you want to see interior D line, you want to see defensive backs, you want to see more of the edge rush side of things.
Well, I mean, it feels like the edge is kind of packed right now. I mean, sure, that's probably where we need the most help. I think the interior guys are really getting the job done. Broderick Washington, Travis Jones today were awesome. I felt like they played and were formidable guys and really affected the game with bat downs. Getting pressure. Matabike was awesome. He was getting pressure. He just couldn't get there. It's kind of weird. Today, like, if you showed me 4 sacks, I would have thought, you know what? Guys must have balled out. Like, I would have been pretty happy with that. I'm worried that someone like Eric DeCosta also sees a stat like that and says, maybe we don't need help like that. Maybe we don't need help there. And unless it's for, the right price. And really the only guys that we mention are, stars. We want one of the big guys that's out there, Crosby or whatever. And people like Clowney and Zadarius Smith, they're gaining interest from teams. And I think since there's so many teams interested, their price is also going up. So I'm not sure DeCosta is in that market where he wants to play a bidding war against other playoff teams and keep throwing a higher pick for a player that isn't really worth it. I hope that he finds someone like this Deontay Johnson trade where you're trading a bag of chips for a former Pro Bowl player. You just have to keep calling. I know he is. And I honestly wouldn't be crazy shocked if they didn't make a move. I would hope they do, but I wouldn't be that surprised if they didn't.
I think 125% somebody will be a Raven within the next 48 hours. I think Eric DeCosta will flip every stone. And at the very least, if you can't get one of these really, really good players, I think you'll eventually bring in somebody. Who knows? Maybe that's a free agent after the deadline, shortly after, you miss out on the guy you wanted or something like that. But I think the Ravens, obviously, specifically Eric DeCosta, know that this is a huge weakness. I mean, this is now multiple games in a row where you really get no pressure. And I know Tavius Robinson today had 2 sacks, which is crazy. And we had a few more, or a couple more, I believe. But overall, there's just no pass rush happening at all. These quarterbacks are sitting back there in the pocket, have all day to do whatever they want. And I think the Ravens know, obviously, this is a very good chance for them to reach the Super Bowl this year. They're right there on top of the AFC now, 6-3. You're a game out from Kansas City, realistically. We have more losses, of course, but I mean, you're right there. You're fighting right with all the top dogs, and I believe, I would say, you're hopefully one really big, impactful player away from this defense being night and day better than it is the last few weeks, and theoretically the whole season at this point. I think if you add in a pretty good pass rusher that can make an impact and consistently, I think you'll see a drastic improvement on this defense because the secondary has been torched, but at the same time, there's been no pass rush. So it's a direct correlation in football. If you have no pass rush, your secondary is going to get worked. So I think the Ravens see that as a blueprint there as far as what you need as a team to reach the end goal. And I think you have 48 hours to do that. And I know Eric DeCosta has probably been on the phones for weeks now trying to find somebody. So I'm sure there's a move coming. I would probably bet quite a bit on it. We just gotta wait and see. But I do agree with Zach. I hope I don't want them to give up the farm for somebody. And I know they won't because it's the Ravens we're talking about and Eric Costa, but he's a wizard at getting value where you wouldn't expect it. So I think it's gonna be a trade out of left field that no one even sees coming potentially. And I'm super excited to see what the Ravens do, because they have a good opportunity here to kind of really cement themselves as a contender, as if they're not already, and make a big move.
Another positive from the defensive today that I didn't realize, the Broncos were 1 for 5 on 4th downs. That's really bad. You had
in the one they had, Marcus Williams got mossed by a quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. So even on the one they did convert, I mean, the play didn't exactly fool the Ravens. Like you said, Marcus Williams was right there. Great play on the toss on, at the beginning of the game. I honestly can't remember all of them. But that's a great job. Being able to get off the field on 4 4th downs is huge. Ravens were struggling in the time of possession aspect of things earlier. I remember they were up 17-7, and I saw a graphic. It was Ravens had 21 plays of offense, and the Broncos had 41 plays of offense. I was like, how is that possible? And they still had a 10-point lead at that moment. But were able to overcome that and sort of even that out throughout the game. Broncos did rush for 122 yards today, so definitely not the best performance for the Ravens' number one rushing defense today. Broncos averaged a little bit over 4 yards to carry. Bo Nix 197, 20 for 34, just 5 yards a pass. You definitely saw the Ravens passing defense play a little better today. I really feel like anytime there was a big play down the field, it was because Bo Nix had way too much time. I really don't think you could blame almost any single play on the secondary today. Stevens had a pass interference in the end zone. I personally didn't really think that was pass interference. I felt like that was too big receiver, big corner fighting over the ball. I think Humphrey did not play the full game, maybe just still recovering from that injury a little bit. You saw Wiggins in there, back and healthy. Trent Simpson made a couple plays. And yeah, I'm definitely, I like the performance from Marcus Williams and Darius Washington today. Kyle Hamilton made plays. I mean, you give up 10 points. Broncos definitely should have scored more than that. They made a couple mistakes that the Ravens didn't even really cause. But still, giving up 10 points is definitely an improvement over what it's been this season so far.
Yeah, I mean, it was great because realistically going into this game, there was a legitimate chance that the Ravens could once again get blown up on the back end because Bo Nix has been one of the best passing quarterbacks in recent weeks in the NFL. But today was not the case. The Ravens responded very well, kind of slapped the NFL media and us fans, included, in the face and kind of said, "Hey, like we're still a defense, man. Like we're not like we can do this. Like we can do this." And like we said, we've been preaching it for weeks now. The Ravens need to be aggressive at this trade deadline and make a move and bring in somebody because realistically, you had a good performance today, but next week you can go out again and Joe Burrow could throw for like 5 touchdowns on your head, and then you'd be right back in the same situation. So I think the Ravens got to look at today's game as a plus, but not also a game where, oh yeah, this defense is good. We don't need to make a move because hopefully that's not the case, and I don't think it will be. So we're gonna see over these next 48 hours, but man, I got to give the respect to the Ravens defense today as a whole. They played great, Zach Orr included. Big bounce back game against a lesser opponent, of course, but still a very good opponent. An opponent can strike you from different ways. But respect to the Ravens defense today, Zach Orr, the coaching staff, the Ravens offense, of course, but we know what we're getting from them. And I'm just excited for this short week. I know it sucks for the players, but as a fan, it's exciting. And if you can get through that game with a win, you kind of have a mini bye week, which is nice. And it would really help this team, going into a really tough game in Pittsburgh the following week, which we know always a game that somehow the Ravens screw up, unfortunately, in recent years. Hopefully this year's not the case, and I don't think it will be. But getting through, this game relatively healthy, it looks like, and getting through a quick turnaround in Cincinnati or in Baltimore with Cincinnati coming to town, hopefully that'd be a huge, huge 2-game response after a stupid loss to Cleveland. And the Ravens would look beautiful at 7-3, but I'm not going to get ahead of ourselves. So this is a big time win today, and I'm super pumped.
Also, being able to blow out a team when you have a Thursday night game coming up is massive. Lamar doesn't have to play the fourth quarter. Zay, Bateman don't have to play the fourth quarter. Derrick Henry was still in there to get his 100 rushing yards, but a lot of guys are able to really play 75% of the amount of time they would have played in a normal game. So that's an advantage. I will say the Bengals also blew out the Raiders, so it's probably going to be even there in that department. So maybe no advantage, but yeah. 4 days from now, Ravens play the Bengals, and these are two massive games coming up. If the Ravens can win both of these and be 8-3, they'll probably be first in the division and be in a really good spot. If they lose one, it's not great. If they lose both, obviously not good at all. But it'll definitely be interesting to see how that plays out. Bengals are, we've played them before, but Lamar has not played the Steelers very often, so I'm excited to see what that game ends up entailing 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, and what I wanted to comment on about the defense, where we talked about, when they show the stats still of the defense being number 1 in rushing and 32nd in passing, it's like, what in the world? Like it's incredible to be that hot and cold in two different major stats. But today, if you hold a team under 200 passing yards when you're 32nd like that, that is such an amazing improvement. Sure, you give up 122 rushing, but I don't think any of us would say that we wouldn't trade that, like give that up. We would 100% do that every single time over, freaking Jameis Winston, 300 freaking passing yards and whatever else. So I think whatever happened today worked. This is the recipe. I think they're going to try the same thing against Burrow. The only difference is you're going to have to get to him. You're going to have to make him feel pressure. If you want to talk about two quarterbacks right now in the league that if they don't have pressure, they're going to ball out, it's Joe Burrow and Russell Wilson. They're both playing really, really well with a clean pocket. And that is going to be quite the test Thursday. I'm pretty excited for that. And what Dawson also advocating for the pass rush here. We're going to probably need another guy like that if we're going to go and really mess with Burrow and really mess with Russell Wilson. If we don't have that, we're probably going to see another game like we saw earlier this year against the Bengals, a freaking shootout. Not saying that ain't fun, but probably don't want to do that every single time because you might not win every single shootout.
I will say though, this is completely off script, but Lamar Jackson being one more perfect passer rating game away from having the most in NFL history is absolutely incredible. He's tied right now with Ben Roethlisberger, who we all unfortunately know for good and bad ways. He is tied with him. One more game from Lamar Jackson with a perfect passer rating, and he has the most in NFL history, which is incredible. And, given a guy who they're like, can't pass, wanted to work him out as a wide receiver, he's now a two-time MVP, well on his way to his third, if all goes right. And we just have a great thing in Baltimore, man. We need to appreciate it for everything that we have because this is something we're going to look back on a long time from now and miss. So I'm glad that we get to see it in real time and kind of appreciate all of it. It sounds so stupid to say all this, but it's the truth. It really is. And it's just incredible what's going on here and who we got on this team. And just it's awesome, man. And I'm super glad to be a Ravens fan. I know it's great. Given, they drop stupid games and have tough losses every single season, and it's so frustrating. And they make a lot of games a lot closer than they need to. Games like this are the reason why it's so awesome to be a Baltimore Ravens fan, man, because they just put their foot on the gas and don't let up. And after, the first couple of games of season where that was the case, unfortunately, they've kind of put their foot on the gas and never let up since. And realistically, they should have beat Cleveland. So right now, we should probably be on a 7-game win streak, which would be amazing. But I will gladly take a 6-3 record, given it's week 9.
Yeah, Lamar is now at 20 touchdowns and 2 picks, and both picks were dropped.
Yep.
So could very well have a 20-0 touchdown to interception ratio. He was 16 for 19 today. There was a throwaway, a ball batted at the line.
A bad throw on the ground to Zay Flowers.
Yeah.
So it was just a couple weird plays.
So there's two that are not his fault at all. And the throw to Zay Flowers was really – he wasn't getting any yards on that play. It was like behind the line of scrimmage and stuff. So
how many, dude? If Eric DeCosta gets a pass rusher before this deadline, we are locked in. We are locked in, boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it looks like in real time, I'm reporting this. Not reporting, it sounds dumb, but it looks like Zadarius Smith is going to the Lions, so that he is probably off the board. It's not confirmed yet, but it does look like Zadarius Smith is going to the Detroit Lions, whether that's tonight or tomorrow. The Browns are obviously going to sell, given what they're 2-7 or 3-7. I don't know what they are, whatever. I think they're 2-7. Yes, given that the 2-7, they're going to be selling off pieces, and it looks like Zadarius Smith is going to the Lions. So it looks like the Ravens will not be getting him back, which, in all honesty, is probably okay with me. But we'll have to see because there's not many options available. It's either the Ravens kind of settle for someone of mid-tier, hopefully they can ball out, like a Jadeveon Clowney, whether they bring back a guy like Calais Campbell. Go after a guy like Azeez Ojulari, who's been pretty good this season. He's a lot younger. He's 24 years old. But you will have to give up a little bit more for him, of course. We talked about this. I really don't know where the Ravens are going to go with this. So we're going to have to wait and see and just hope that Eric DeCosta flips every stone that's available.
Getting really off topic here, but did you guys see Saquon Barkley hurdled someone backwards?
Yes, I just saw that.
What the heck?
Derrick
that was
Henry's
insane.
Real life video game.
Yeah. Anyway, you guys have any final thoughts coming out of this one?
No.
I feel like it's really just, when there's a dominant game like this, there's not much to go through in terms of like the game script. I'd really just harping on Ravens getting a pass rusher. There's probably no weakness on this team. I think we all kind of agreed that the secondary maybe not what we thought it would be going into this season, but the pass rush is the number one issue on the defense.
I seriously think the secondary is bad because we have zero pass rush. If
Yeah.
we even had half the pass rush we had last season, we would not be talking about the secondary being 32nd in the NFL against the pass. I'm telling you. Ravens go out and get a pass rusher who can actually put pressure on the quarterback. The secondary will be night and day better than it is right now. There's no way, given the personnel that we have in the secondary, that they should be playing this bad. And I obviously they could and should be better, but it's kind of hard when a quarterback can sit there and read a whole Harry Potter series before he even has to throw. I mean, it's crazy, dude.
I'll be interested to see when the advanced stats come out because I know last week Jameis Winston, it was like a broken record or something for the amount of time that he had to throw, and I feel like Bo Nix had more time today than Winston had last weekend. So that'll be interesting to see. Probably a little scary to see what that number is, but yeah. Trade deadline, what, Tuesday at 4 p.m.? Is that usually what it is? So
Ooh.
We'll see what's going on there. So nothing else from you guys about this one?
No.
I like what Two Photo was saying in the chat. Gotta do what LA did 3 years ago. Go all out. I mean, they went full over the edge. Like they screwed their franchise. But I mean, we're not in that position, but we definitely need to get someone. I think someone puts us over an edge and makes us the bona fide Super Bowl contender.
What LA did that year would be like if we would have traded for Adams and then also gotten like Max Crosby. That'd be comparable to what the Rams did a few years ago.
Overkill.
Yeah. And even if you win a Super Bowl, you are a little cooked for the next couple of years. But I think the Ravens have a good balance about doing that. But anyway, that's probably going to be all from us today. Ravens blow out the Broncos 41-10. And we got a short week, so that means also a short week for the pod. So not going to be able to do a Q&A episode this week, but we'll do a preview show Tuesday most likely. And we'll see you guys then, and then Ravens will be playing the Bengals.
For our Tuesday pod, hopefully we will be welcoming and talking about a new Baltimore Raven.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll have a breaking episode for a pass rusher at some point.
Oh,
yeah. So yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you in about 2 days. See ya.